okay? So, but you have the national radio broadcaster who has very valuable content. And this content includes all the games of the national rugby team. And as you know, the All Blacks just won the Rugby World Cup. So basically, we're having this uncompetitive market, and there's the largest ISPs that's telling the national radio broadcasting, wait, we don't peer with you, we force you into transit. So if you pass your content on, you need to pay us. Okay. The reaction of the national broadcaster was, all right. So, and what they did was, they had peering arrangements with smaller ISPs. And so customers of these smaller ISPs could get the content of the national radio broadcaster zero-rated, okay? And in addition, because they were really not amused about what the largest ISP was doing, is they moved their content for the largest ISP to the US West Coast. And they forced that largest ISP to actually pay backhaul to get the content for its customers from the national radio. And as I said, this radio is important because it has the rugby content. So what that did is, like, in a market, you know, that was not very competitive, that was not where companies, where like the main incumbent tried to force companies to pay for transit rather than to peer, this has had really a good effect on the development of the market. Similar case in Australia, where zero rating could also be used as a competitive tool. So the small ISPs peered with one of the main radio stations in Australia, which is ABC Radio. And doing this, they had lower costs, right? And what they did is they passed these lower costs on to their customers. So that meant that they had actually a leverage with respect to the main, like the 2-3 main ISPs that were there. And what we see is, like, the market developed and we saw prices dropping. And so if the regulator here would have said, okay, all traffic needs to be treated equally, this wouldn't have happened. So what we saw here was really a case where actually zero rating had positive effects. Now, the case of Australia goes on. Netflix. Recently, Netflix entered the market, and some ISPs were saying, whoa, you know, we use this and like as a tool to promote our services, and we will rate Netflix services. We will do a zero rating for Netflix. Fine, great, but what happened as an unintended consequence was there was one operator that said, yeah, you can have the Netflix services zero rated, but only via IPv4, not via IPv6, okay? So what we saw there was kind of an unintended consequence, so maybe slowing down, you know, the deployment of IPv6, right? So this is clearly something that we wouldn't like to see. So to wrap this up, on the ISP market, because I want to make the distinction, zero rating on the market, on the infrastructure layer, and zero rating on the application layer. So on the ISP market, we saw that zero rating can have positive effects. So if you have an uncompetitive market for peering in transit, and it might also incentivize people to actually buy more services once they saw the zero rated ones, which would increase the size of the market. On the other hand, zero rating can be negative if the main operator uses it, okay, and offers free access to services which might not be affordable by small ISPs. So if this is happening in a market, regulator need to watch. And I brought you some first numbers from a perspective of an operator. So this is Grameenphone, which has in service an application that's called a WOW box. It has This is in Bangladesh. It has over 1.5 million of registered users. And any service that comes, that is included in this app is zero rated. And so main services here include news, sports, music, and games. Now, and the platform also allows customers to buy additional services. And if they do that, they get some more data allowance to actually, surf the web, etc. So what Grameenphone saw is that through this app, they had 85,000 daily sales. So that meant actually that services worked as a teaser, and customers would buy packages such as a 50 MB data package or one-day Facebook package. So actually, it allowed to grow the market, and actually, they really saw users not only using the zero-rated content, but then also buy small amounts of data to access more applications on the web. And for the company, actually, they compared the Wowbox users with non-Wowbox users, and they could find a positive effect on their output. Now, it's a bit trickier when it comes to zero rating in the content market. Okay, we can also see some positive effects if the free teaser works, and if customers actually not only consume the zero-rated apps, but actually use the internet to access it for other services which might be useful for them. And also, what we don't have to forget in emerging countries, zero-rating allows customers that otherwise wouldn't probably be able to afford it to access at least some part of the internet. Now, when you come to the negative side, like here, the biggest concern is that a wallet garden might be created if this is used by dominant providers on the application side, right? I mean, if you have like really dominant content providers, because this might impede other companies to enter the market, especially the small ones. So if there is clear indication that this is happening, measures should be taken. And even so, Facebook is opening its platform to other applications, which is certainly a good move. But this still means, right, that other applications need to go through the Facebook platform, so they control the platform. So this is an issue to consider. So a couple of proposals have been discussed to actually counter these effects on a short-term basis. So one is certainly that all application providers can sign up to zero-rating agreements, that this is done on a non-discriminatory basis. What you could also think of is like just offering the first click outside the zero-rated application for free. So you have an application, but you allow users, for instance, to go to a Wikipedia page so that they can get some content. You could limit a zero rating to a promotional time period. This is another measure. Or you could also think of, okay, if companies provide you with a zero-rated packages, they should also give a very small amount of data to users, especially in emerging countries, which they could use, to access other applications on the web. But the ideal solution is actually to work to increasing the size of the bid caps, which you can do by increasing competition in the market and decreasing transit prices. Because if you have services, that don't have bid caps or that have huge bid caps, zero rating just doesn't become interesting anymore, right? I mean, I'm living in France. My fixed broadband service, I don't have any data caps on that. And for my mobile, I have 50 gigas per month, and I'm paying 20 euros. So in these markets, zero rating is just not an issue, because I don't care whether a certain content is zero rated or not, because I have so much data to consume in my package that I can do whatever. And I would like to end with some current policy approaches. So we see a very diverse pattern across the OECD area. So we have some countries that explicitly ban zero rating. So Chile and Canada had explicit statements against zero rating. Then we had just the new European law coming up on net neutrality. So for the moment, it seems that the law allows for zero rating, but much will depend on how it will be interpreted by national regulators. And this will be done probably next summer. We have some countries that have really a very strict net neutrality laws, such as the Netherlands,